noise. This is when I crashed my first qualifier. I'd have to tell you about that later. It was all my own fault. This is Lou Lucci holding the wing. The other guy is an airman, Dvorak, who was a pilot, or a correction, he was an airman there, and he was a photographer, real good photographer. This is the same guy with his Skylark. I was pulling a fast one, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing with that airplane, and that's why it crashed. But the pictures were taken right behind the Officers Club and right behind the BOQ at Hickam that you saw the crashed airplane. You see the orbit back there with the center loaded antenna? Okay, here's Lou again. These things are not sequential as space control. You can see they're not sequential in time, and I wish I could have gotten them right, but I did not. And you can see the sun is low, shadows are long, and we're at Barber's Point Naval Air Station. By the way, the bombs that were dropped, the atomic bombs that were dropped down at Christmas Island for the bomb tests from a B-52, the B-52 was about a half a mile away from us at this point, sitting there on the ramp, at the new ramp. Oh, a little bit of deal. Here's Lou. He hasn't got his prop nut on yet, so his prop is spinning. You can see how the wind was blowing. And he's tightening down a prop nut. There's his space control. And Lou was a great guy, and his best buddy was Jim Kirkland, and that's how I got the Sampi, because Jim, through Lou, advised me to get it. This is the end result of my number 2 qualifier. Lou Lucci crashed it because he was having trouble with his eyes and the sunglasses, flying glasses that he was using. Lou was a pilot in base flight, an instructor pilot, used to take guys up at T-birds. He found out he had a problem with his vision using the official U.S. Air Force glasses, and he quit using them. Anyway, he was flying my airplane, and he thought he'd lost it, and he was upside down low, and he gave another control and splattered it. And that was. This is one of our guys from downtown. You notice the center loaded antenna on his orbit reads. And there's our flight line there, kind of. And there's E.G. with his airplane and other people at the flight line. And this is the international airport at Honolulu. And I'm there taking these pictures because I was getting ready to rotate PCS from Hickam to Francis E. Warren, Cheyenne, Wyoming. And this is January of 64. And that was a World Airways airplane under contract. That was the Boeing that was going to take me back. This is at El Paso, Texas. This is at out of Fort Bliss, where Jack Albrecht was, and this was his Digicon equipped with Steve servos. You can see the Digicon. His Stormer. And anyway, here was one of the very first Digicons ever made. Later on, I got it from Jack, and it had its only problem was the way it propagated its signal, which is a 50% clamp down field strength actual broadcast square wave, which with the AGC left it open to a lot of glitching, and it did glitch. But Frank Hoover came up with the answer to this, and it was incorporated into the Digicon and in Frank Hoover's equipment and everybody else's equipment in the world, and that's what took the glitches away from digital. But the transmitter was the same except for a little addition. The receiver was the same except for a little addition. Servo's same. And all this wonderful stuff really came from Doug Spring at Fort Bliss. This is Lou Lucci, and it's his Mustang. And we are at a crop dusting field. There's the Taurus I got from Jack and the Digicon. We're at this crop dusting. That's my car in the background, a 770 Rambler. Crop dusting field right in the middle of the rice paddies by Sacramento, southwest of Sacramento, California. And when they're raising rice, you get off this field and you are in the water. You are in the water everywhere. Well, Lou was having trouble with his Mustang, which was a Berkeley kit, and I was flying it for him just to prove that it would fly. And I was having a ball. This was on orbit reads. And you can see it does fly. It was a very nice airplane, fixed gear, having fun and games out there. I flew this thing, and then he went ahead and flew it. And then I flew the Digicon-equipped Taurus from Jack Albrecht. Gee, I used to get airplanes from him. He was a great guy. He still is. He'll be looking at this tape, so be nice. Everybody be nice to him. Anyway, we're still flying up there by Sacramento and having a ball. This was in the middle of Hanodi brand rice fields out there. Big, popular rice fields. they put out a tremendous amount of rice. B-51, Sterling kit, and it ran out of fuel. The engine quit. So there it was. I was flying it, but Lou went out and brought it back, and he was grinning because it was fine. There was nothing wrong with the airplane. And Lou was a great buddy, like I said, flying buddy of Jim Kirkland. Now this is my Sultan. It had the Sampi in it. It hadn't flown yet, and it still didn't have a canopy. And it had the, there I am, pulling the antenna out, and I'm taxiing around and having a good time. This is at Barber's Point Naval Air Station. I never could get the fling of single stick. That's me. Never could get the fling of single stick. An analog mushy I couldn't get, and I really didn't start flying smooth again until after I started on digital proportional. That was the first takeoff, first flight. There's the first landing, and you can see I'm over-controlling and over-controlling. That's what you did with analog. But I got it on the ground successfully. Never crashed it. Here it is, held by E.G. Oshiro, and it's got the canopy on it. Of course, I've had it home and took the canopy, painted it inside with silver dope, or blue dope, which is light blue, and put it back on. This is Howard Hole's airplane with his Tory. And Howard was a local radio guru. He could fix anything, make anything work. He could do anything with any radio. The only trouble is his never worked. And here he is flying his twin. He took a Tory and made a twin. This is a flight line. This is up at Sacramento. And there's Jerry Nelson with his bill cap on, and now he's showing his belly. That was his Joe Foster Patriot that he was going to take to the internets. And that was Stan, you saw there. There it is. And he let me fly it with his Orbitrol with 2 sticks, and I didn't have any trouble at all. It scared him to death because he was afraid I was going to crash it, but I did a marvelous job flying it. The separated sticks make quite a difference with Orbitrol. Dunham couldn't fly a single stick Orbitrol either, but he could fly a magnificent 2-stick. This is down south of Denver. This is the Jefco modelers, and this was a hotbed for early F&M digital propo, using the Bonner servos with the infamous wire-wound pots. And they cleaned them all the time, and they still snagged the wires and crashed. Anyway, this is the Jefco Air Modelers south of Denver. Reynolds C. Murray, or Ron Murray. There's Glenn Witt. He was my flying buddy from Cheyenne. Glenn was a carpenter. He made my tool bench one time when he was out of my building bench. He was out of work for a week, so I went down and gave him a whole bunch of money and kept him tied it over for a week, and he built my bench, and it was fantastic, and I sold it to John Seitz. Anyway, this is, you see, one of those early orbit correction of F&M propos. That airplane that you saw lost its horizon. That's Robbie Kelly there from Denver, from Tom Thumb Hobby, and there's his dad from Tom Thumb Hobby in Denver. And Robbie was about, I guess about 15 or 16 years old. And that Stormer lost its horizontal stabilizer and went ahead and crashed. You put the thing back on.